For 3 decades, Joe Alicastro served as producer for NBC News, covering both domestic and international stories. During his time spent with NBC, many of his reports covered historically significant events. He remembers the fall of the Berlin Wall in November of 1989 to be the most memorable.
I was a producer at NBC News for 30 years, so pretty much in that 30-year period of time I covered just about every major event in history. Some of the highlights for me would have been covering the fall of communism completely, from beginning to end, mainly because for me it was something that I never thought I would see in my lifetime.
After this time, he decided to concentrate his attention on teaching. Alicastro is currently an adjunct professor at Sacred Heart and the New York Film Academy, instructing courses that focus on broadcast and multimedia journalism.
Well, what I hope to bring to my students is an overall awareness of the media, based on my professional experience, but also based on my academic experience. And perhaps differently, or more importantly, is that when we go through the history of broadcast news, most of the events that we're talking about, I was actually there covering those events.
With his experience at NBC News for nearly 30 years, Alicastro brings much knowledge and skill to the classroom.
I have Professor Alicastro for video outreach, and he shows a lot of clips from Vision Project, which is something that he's working on. And I learned a lot about photojournalism, which is something that I want to be a part of someday.
Alicastro continues to work on projects outside of teaching as well. He has joined with fellow professor and childhood friend Richard Falco in creating Vision Project.
I'm Rick Falco. I'm an adjunct professor here at Sacred Heart University. I teach journalism, photojournalism, and documentary photography. Joe and I have really done one large project, and it's interesting because it is one that is also in direct connection with SHU. We've used interns here that have actually worked on the project with our pros, and that project was on rural healthcare in America. It's called Crossroads, and it's actually been just completed. We are starting now a national tour.
The project that I worked with Joe Alicastro was Crossroads. It was a short documentary. We went down to Arkansas and filmed a medical center. Working with Alicastro was very, very exciting. I had never met someone that was actually in the field for that long and that had so much experience as a producer.
Despite his extensive resume, students know Professor Joe Alicastro to be personable and outgoing outside of the classroom.
Outside the working environment, he's very, very chill, relaxed. He's a good friend to have.
Working with him was really easy because he has a lot of experience with interviews, and that really helped me a lot during my senior project.
Aside from teaching, one of his passions is music. He played in rock and blues bands with Falco at a young age.
We played together in a blues band, Professor Falco and I did. And we played in a rock band when going all the way back to high school days. And that's always been my secret life. I've never given up playing music, and I currently do play in a jazz quartet.
Professor Alicastro plans to continue teaching both at SHU and the New York Film Academy in the future. He leaves students with this piece of advice.
To me, the most important thing in being a journalist, whether you're a print journalist or a broadcast journalist, is being a witness to history. It's a privilege to be a witness of history, and it's also a tremendous responsibility.
For The Pulse, this is Brittany Foy.